local Democrats who are making posts on social media and then having the police show up at their door. So these are the types of things locally that drive us insane, or the fact that we had an ICE recruitment event today here in Tampa. Here in Tampa, there was an ICE and Border Patrol recruitment event today. It's going on tomorrow as well, which is especially galling, given that we have ICE out there murdering American citizens on our streets. And I'll be honest, this was a really hard meeting to prepare for, to talk about this. I have been involved in many of these types of protests. I've been involved in many of the resistance to ICE. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. We are at a stage where someone who is an innocent bystander, someone who is just trying to make sure their community is safe, is executed by the federal government. And today it came down that within the Department of Justice, they will not be investigating this. So there will be no justice for the foreseeable future on this issue. This is also particularly concerning, as many of you know, I own a marketing company. One of the tools you'll often use in marketing is this one, which is called Google Trends. In Google Trends, you can see what are people looking for in real time and how are things changing. Here you can see, in the upper left, you'll see that's Minnesota over the past 7 days. And the search term is castle doctrine. The idea that you can stand your ground in your own home. There are, if you notice, pretty much nobody was searching for this. Then ICE announced that they were going to go door to door in Minnesota, and what happened? People are looking at, can I defend myself in my own home against what is happening? And unless you think this is just, this is only a 7-day window, here's what that looked like over the past year. No one in Minnesota was looking for castle doctrine until ICE started going door to door. And we're seeing the exact same pattern here in Florida. Here in Florida, we have a lot of people who are looking to see, do I have the right to defend myself in my own home? The last time I saw social media this heated was shortly before January 6th. And so I will just tell you, please be careful out there. We have a lot on our plates, and a lot that is happening there. And I'll tell you, as those of you who know me know, I've got 4 adult children. My kids are all Black or Latino. It's a hard time to be a parent in this country right now, trying to keep those kids safe and make sure that they get home from school every day. This was honestly the hardest meeting I had to prepare for, because I want my better angels to win, right? You guys have seen, I am an advocate for nonviolence, but I will tell you sometimes it is hard to be that guy. When you see these types of things happening, when you see what people are willing to do to people who look just like my children. And honestly, I felt a little hopeless. And as you guys know, being a retired law school professor, I am an uber nerd, so I buy giant books like this. This book just came out this week. It's called The Great Resistance. And it is about 400 years. The 400 years of resistance it took to bring slavery to an end. And each time that I think about being hopeless about our situation, I think about people who had to fight for 400 years to get their freedom. And we will never have to experience that. I will never have to experience that myself as a white person. But I will tell you, we have no right to quit. We have no right to be hopeless. When people who were 100 years in to the most degrading form of slavery, with 300 years in front of them of it still going, kept going. And kept hope alive. Kept fighting for this every single day so that some future generation would have it better. So I know it's depressing right now, but it can be better. We do not have to wait 400 years. We can continue to fight this just like they did. And so as we look at this, I'm going to ask you the same question that we do when we start these meetings, which is, what is your why? For me, that's my wife and I on our first date when we were 19. She had more rights when we were 19 than she does today. And that is bullshit. These are my 4 kids. They're all black and Latino. We should not have to worry that my Latino kids might get snatched while they're in school. We should not have to worry that my daughter will be taught that slavery was a positive. That black people just took it because they resisted for 400 freaking years, fighting tooth and nail, doing everything they could to get that system changed. These are my why. This world should be better for them. What I'd like to hear from you guys is, what is your why? Who wants to go first? Chris, you got a why?
I'd like to see us live up to our Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. And we the people, not we the white people, not we the rich, but we the people.
Thank you. Who else has a why? For why you're here, why you're taking time away from your family and your work to be here.
We're here to retain our democracy and to fight for our grandchildren. We never know the freedoms that we once had.
It's your first time here. You okay speaking?
I'm here because of the cruelty that's taking place, separating children from families, and people in the street, and for democracy.
And back here for our last one.
I'm here for my grandson.
She said she's here for her grandson. So, we are all here taking time away from our family, taking time away from our home to be out here at Dave & Buster's, listening through this kind of wonky speaker system. Why? Well, because this stuff is important to us. Protecting our kids, our grandkids, fighting for justice, making this world a better place. And that is what East Hillsboro is all about. Now, as you know, our motto is stop talking, start doing, because we loathe those democratic organizations that just talk, and don't do anything. And that's why we have a strategy that every member of this club can look back to see what should I be doing at any given point. And our strategy as before boils down to we have to be doing the work in the community. We have zero power, we have zero dollars, and the community needs to see us out there doing the work. When we do that, we will draw in new people who might be interested in what we have to say, like this young lady here. After around the community, we have connections, and we've done the work. Then we will start drawing in money. And I'll tell you, it's already working. We have the largest bank account right now that East Hillsboro has ever had. Right now. And that's at the start of the year before we even started collecting membership fees, which will come out later in the year. That will help us bring in volunteers. Just last week, we were at the Peanut Butter and Jelly Ministry making sandwiches for homeless people. Well, how were we able to do that? Because we have expanded our membership, we have more money, we have the ability to be involved in more things, and in the long term, that's going to allow us to draw in more voters, whether it's registering new voters or making sure that our existing voters turn out. And when we're able to provide those things, money, volunteers, and voters, guess who will start listening to East Hillsboro? All those politicians that have ignored us for all this time. And once we've done that, we can do the good in the community that everybody is talking about for what is their why, for why they are here. So our strategic plan will always be to make sure that we are solving those problems visibly, that we're going to recruit people to our cause, that we're going to use the work we do and the people we have to create financial leverage, to have volunteers, politicians, and community organizations that turn out those voters. We're going to use those tools to influence policy, how we want it done, and we're going to do good in this world. Now, I'm going to quickly switch over to Brian Nathan because he needs to be on TV tonight. So we're going to have our speaker a little bit out of order, and he's going to come up here first and tell us a little bit about himself. Now, Brian Nathan is an extremely important election. This is the Florida State Senate. If Brian Nathan wins this election, it breaks the Republican supermajority, which means they have to start working past that. They have to follow the rules. They have to put their names on votes. It's no longer just, all the Republicans passed it. He can break that. Brian's a normal guy. He's working class just like I am. He's a a Navy veteran, a union member, a father, the kind of person that we need in Congress representing us. Ryan is hopefully going to win the state senate race. He's going to tell us all about it right now.
Where did you? Close? All right, thank you. Thank you, everyone. My name is Ryan A. I am running for State Senate District 14. So unless you live west of 275, unfortunately, you folks cannot vote for me. This is the vacant seat that was left behind by Jay Collins when he became our lieutenant governor. I have about 72 days until the election. West Hillsborough has been without representation since August 25th. That's 500,000 of our residents, 500,000 of our neighbors, family, and friends don't have any representation. There is no one up in Tallahassee for Senate District 14 right now. That's the exact truth. The governor waited 74 days, excuse me, Phil, that's it. 74 days. So, like you said, I'm a Navy veteran. I served for 6 years in the United States Navy as a pathologist. I am a union member. I'm with the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. I'm an electrician by trade. Currently, I am the assistant business manager, which means I work in the office, and I'm an organizer. I spend my days going out in the community, talking to people, trying to convince them to join the union, make their lives better, have employer paid for health care, free pensions, things of that nature. But what strikes me most, and I'm going to get to Drew's question about what's your why. I get to go to Tallahassee every year. I get to see how the sausage is made. I get to speak with legislators. It's part of my job. It's called the Working Family Lobby Group. And every year, my wife will tell you I come home angry, upset. Because when they don't show you on the Florida channel you watch, this legislator's getting up and leaving the room while residents are there speaking, while they're having sidebar conversations, playing whatever on their phone. They're not paying attention to the regular folks that have taken time out of their day, potentially driven across the state to speak about the legislation that is before the Senate, before the House. So people aren't paying attention. So I come home angry every year, and I gripe and I complain. Last year when I went out, there was a bill that was proposed, Senate Bill 918. Is anybody familiar with it? Wouldn't expect it, but it was proposed by no one else. It was proposed by Jay Collins, our lieutenant governor. And this bill would have rolled back child labor protections. This would have changed the way we treat children in the workplace. You want to work a 15-year-old till midnight? You would have been allowed to do that. You wanted to work a 14-year-old even later than the normal protections they have? You can do that. You can treat 16 and 17-year-olds as adults on a job site. So let's say this kid comes to you and says, I can't work till 10 o'clock, I've got a test tomorrow. Either you work or you're fired. That's what the boss will say. This bill didn't pass, thankfully, but I came home and I was furious. Because this is year after year, we see these types of bills. There's a bill right now that would allow people in a training position, what they consider an intern or an apprenticeship, to take less than the state minimum wage. Think about that. We have a state amendment to the state constitution to raise the minimum wage. Does anybody know what it is right now? It's $14 an hour. It's going to go up to 15 in September. Federal minimum wage is $7.50. So these kids would voluntarily check a box and take a 50% pay cut. This is the type of legislation which is coming in Tallahassee right now. This is what we're going to start talking about next Tuesday when session starts. So I come home angry, my wife would say, what do you do? Finally this year, we heard Jay Collins was going to be the lieutenant governor. I said, you know what, I'll throw my hat on. And it's been a sprint since mid-July until now, but I am the only Democrat in the race. The primary, if we were to have one, would be next Tuesday when session starts. But here's the kicker. When I win, I won't even get to sit in session. The election's going to be held on March 24th. Session ends on March 13th. I have to imagine that long delay the governor gave us before we had a special election was for a reason. Because this seat is flipping. It's only an R plus 5. And with this blue wave that's going on, I don't argue it's actually positive for Democrats. So why have I come to the other side of those who are kind of talk to me folks? I'm angry. Frankly, I'm pissed off about everything I see going on, just like I imagine all of you. But what are we going to do about it? You folks don't have an election until August for the primary in November. For the general, but you can help me out now. You can push back on everything we're seeing happening now. We're phone banking this Saturday. We're opening it up 7 days a week, not 24 hours. We're opening it until before 8 a.m. But if anybody wants to phone bank, we can set you up any day of the week if you want. We're going to have materials available from postcard. We're door knocking. Last Saturday, we door knocked. Kathy Castor came out and knocked doors with me for 2.5 hours. We knocked over 1,000 doors in 1 afternoon. This is how this race is going to be won. This is how the races in August are going to be won. This is how the races in November are going to be won. It's by people in the community getting out and doing the work. Because we're not going to out fundraising. I can tell you that Josie Tonka, my opponent, walked into this race with $3 million in the bank. I'm an electrician. I'm not raising $3 million. I don't have $3 million. I'll be lucky if I ever see $3 million in my lifetime. But I can sure as hell out work. Because these people aren't like the rest of us. They don't work. They don't work like we do. They don't know what it takes to actually get the job done. So, like you said, unfortunately, I have to talk dash. 8:30 was the only time they could fit me in, so I have to go. But I appreciate your time. We have a couple minutes, I think, for questions. So if anybody wants to hear any more, please shout out, which will carry my mail.
I'm going to keep you on a tight time frame because you have to get on the road in 4 minutes.
All right, any questions?
Questions?
Well, if you do get it, did you get to airtime for that special session?
Yes.
Yes, okay, all right.
So he'll be there in time for the special session about redistricting this entire state. Who else had their hand up?
Do you collaborate with any other groups, agencies?
So do you collaborate with any other groups are you working?
So I know Magnified Voices is canvassing specifically for this race in the district. I'm working with a couple other candidates. But like what type of groups are you talking about? Like social groups or within the party? Activists?
There's a whole, I mean,
Like magnified voices would be appropriate.
yeah, no kings and those kind of groups.
They don't really collaborate with campaigns so much, but there's some lines you can't cross. But if they're an advocacy group, like Magnified Voices, we can supply them with materials. But there is a line in terms of election law that we can't cross with some of this stuff.
Any other questions? All right, we're going to let you go.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Brian. All right, now, really quick, before Brian gets out of here, we got Regina coming up to talk about some things that are coming up, which will also potentially be mentioned later in our upcoming activities.
For those who don't know me, I am the regional director for the Hillsborough County Dens. Because of where we are, most of us are not in ST14, so we can't vote for Brian. But we have adopted a precinct in ST14 and we've created a phone bank. So if any of you want to participate in Brian's phone bank, I'll pass this around. What I need primarily is your email address, and I'll send you the instructions. You can do it anytime you want. We ask that you not do it before 8 a.m. or after 8:30 p.m. Otherwise, it's up to you what to do it, and we need to elect Brian.
so what Rudina is talking about there, with a phone bank like what she is setting up, you can make these calls from your house at your convenience. And now these are the kind of things that I love, because as you know, our motto is stop talking, start doing. So let's talk about some of the things that we've done. So at our last meeting here in November, we all wrote postcards about, hey, here's why I joined this club. To some of our new voters here in Grant, we were able to send those out, and so we are already spreading the word out about that. In terms of some business that we have, let's make sure that we switch over here with Walt passing away. Susan has stepped in as our assistant treasurer. She's going to be doing the treasurer work until we do an election in March to replace Walt. Here you go, Susan.
Our balance is 2,403.18.
2,403.18. All right. And before I slide Janet, we just do the minutes report with you.
Okay, we didn't have a meeting last month, so there aren't any minutes. But if you ever want any minutes, I will send them to you if you want to see them. But Chris puts them on the website.
All right. Thank you. And Misty, do you have anything to report from the membership committee?
Just a quick thank you to those of you who paid your dues for renewal tonight. Oh, sorry. If anyone else is coming up for renewal throughout the year, I'm just going to be emailing you directly and letting you know and giving you different options for renewal.
And for renewal, if you are on the website, join the EHDC right there. It'll take you to the thing to sign up, and it's just the initial sign-up process again. We'll let you allocate your information in terms of putting your current phone number, current email, anything like that that you need to do. Community service, Quinn Graver at our last meeting took over as our new chair of community service. He's traveling currently. He and I have been in communication. He is working on a project to get us in touch with the leaders of each of the nonprofits in East Hillsborough. As you know, we created a master list for East Hillsborough that has every single not-for-profit that we can find in all of East Hillsborough, including their director's names, website, phone number, all of that kind of stuff. Ben is now getting us in contact with each of those organizations so we can find out when do they need volunteers, how can we get involved, and how can we get them in here to talk to us and hear about the good work they're doing in the community to see what other organizations we would like to help. All right, in terms of some of the work that we're doing, or the Stop Talking, Start Doing, there is phone banking for Brian Nathan this weekend, or excuse me, tomorrow. This is one that's different than what Rudina was talking about. This is one where I believe that is a designated location and everybody is calling from there. So if you would like to do something as early as Thursday of this week, we've got opportunities there. Just scan that QR code or search for Brian Nathan on Mobilize. One more Brian Nathan event while we're here, because again, this is the next upcoming election is for Brian. We don't have any additional elections until November for this area. If you'd like to canvass or going out knocking doors, that canvass that Brian was mentioning, that Kathy Castro was there knocking doors, I was there too. We were out knocking doors, part of those 1,000 doors were knocked by me and a high school kid that I was partnered up with. If you'd like to go knock some doors, scan this QR code and we can help try and get Brian elected. And I will tell you, at the board meeting we discussed, do we want to put a lot of stuff for Brian in this particular meeting? And we decided that yes, we did, because there are a lot of challenges to getting elected when you're just a regular guy like Brian is. When you're an electrician, he is not somebody with a bazillion dollars. He's not somebody with a ton of crazy connections. So what that means is that it's going to take us to get him elected. It's going to take people getting involved and putting in the work, whether it's calling, writing postcards, doing door knocking, whatever the case may be. Because I will tell you this right now, the Democratic Party, the federal Democratic Party, they're not sending any money or help for Brian. The state Democratic Party, they're not sending any help for Brian or any other candidates. They think that Hillsborough is a write-off. It's going to be up to us. You're going to get to hear from another one of our candidates a little bit later today talk about about that same thing, because it's gonna be us that gets people elected. It's not gonna be these outside organizations, okay? All right, one other thing that I would, another opportunity to get involved and do some more work is the Tampa Bay Action Team meeting, which is happening on Wednesday, January 28th. This is through the ACLU of Florida. I will tell you, as a retired lawyer and law school professor, the ACLU is no joke. Most people come, they come to do the work and to get stuff done. If you are interested in seeing what they are doing to make sure that your civil rights are protected, that your neighbor's civil rights are protected, this is a great way to get involved and find out what they're doing right now to help protect ourselves and our friends and our neighbors. Okay? I'll wait till I see all the phones go down before I click to the next slide. It's okay. I can also have the slide up for after the meeting and just kind of scan it off my computer. That way. Cool. All right. Now, I want to talk about one other project for East Hillsborough. Over winter break, we did a lot of traveling as a family. So I grew up on a chicken and turkey farm in the middle of nowhere. We drove up to that farm from here, and it was like a 2-day drive. We drove up to Chicago, and we drove up to Minneapolis. So we got to see 10 areas where there's a lot of ice involvement. We went to Chicago because that's where we live, that's where my wife's family is. We drove to Minneapolis to see some friends. While I was up there, I met with some of the leaders of the resistance to ice out there. One of the leaders of that is a good friend of mine. And so that person talked to me about what are they doing that is working and what's not working so that we can fast track it here in Florida, because while we've had some ice presence, we have not been hit nearly as hard as what's going on in Minneapolis. We've not been hit like what they're doing in Chicago. And so I thought, hey, we have an expert we can get access to right now who will tell me what should we be doing, what should we not be doing, what have they been doing. So one of the things that we would like to discuss are some of these things. So now, they actually maintain a database of every single ice vehicle that they find. So if someone calls in and says, hey, I saw an ice vehicle with this license plate, they try and get the make, the model, and the license, and then they put it in their database if they can verify that it was in fact an ice vehicle. So they have spotters going out and identifying, is that in fact ice? Then they keep a database so that when someone calls in and says, hey, there's an SUV with this license plate in the parking lot, they can check and say, hey, does that license plate match what we have in the database for ice already? Now, we don't have the manpower to do something like that yet, but just a vision of what could be done. Another great resource that my friend directed me to is this. If you have someone who is concerned about what is going on and the federal government has come to your door, what do? Right? Most of you are not attorneys like I am. The answer is you can call the Federal Defense Hotline. So this is the National Lawyers Guild. You can call them for free. And they will pick up the phone and talk to you about what is going on, what you have to do, or what you don't have to do. Okay? And they give you this handy little guide. Hey, don't let the cops into your house without a warrant. You have no obligation to speak to or answer questions. And I will tell you, so I took immigration law back in 2005. And back then there was a famous case in 1991 where an immigrant was stopped by ICE and he just refused to answer any questions. Would not even say what his name was. And because the obligation is on the prosecution to prove that he was here illegally, by simply not talking, he got to stay in this country. He just never said a word. Not one word. They only knew his first name. That's the only thing they knew. So there are a lot of things that can be accomplished by just shutting up. Just so you know, as a lawyer, that's number one advice, don't talk. We also have the opportunity to make sure that we share with people that these know your rights cards so that they know exactly what they can do. And this was one of the more fascinating ones. So what a lot of people in Chicago are doing are creating whistle brigades, creating whistle groups in their neighborhoods. And what they do is they make it so that they know Okay, ICE is in the area. So they use this code, this system. If ICE is nearby, you blow in 3 short bursts. If ICE is actually arresting somebody or stopping somebody, you blow in 3 long bursts. You form a crowd, you stay nonviolent, and you record things. And they go through training like what you can record, what you should record, what you should be making sure you collect. These are the types of things that we need to start preparing for here in Hillsborough. Because if you think they're not coming here, you're wrong. They are 100% coming to Hillsborough for our neighbors, for our friends, and for our family. And we need to be ready for when that happens. So, if that is something, as the board, we would like to do something to start forming groups of essentially whistle watches in each of our neighborhoods. So that we can let our friends and neighbors know when ICE is around. So that we can start coordinating with other groups that are already doing this work within the neighborhood communities. We've already supported Friends of Waimanna. They're doing a ton of work in the Waimanna community here in our district. We want to make sure that we help defend them. Forming our own whistle watch. Is that something that you guys would be interested in? Everybody having a watch? Everybody having a whistle? Having a couple of whistles to get out to your friends and neighbors? Let's get them involved. Sound good? Let's start getting ready to prepare and defend our neighbors. Remember, the civil rights movement didn't happen by accident. The people sitting at those benches and those lunch counters, they were trained. They were trained not to react. Why? Because the civil rights movement used strategy to make sure that they were as effective as possible. We need to do the same thing. We can't wait till they're here. We need to start preparing now. All right, so it looks like we have the majority in at our next meeting. Mike said yes because I already bought 200 whistles and magnets. So I'll be, you guys are getting it. So at our next meeting, we will have whistles and magnets, and everybody will be able to take some so that they can create their own neighborhood groups. And with that, I actually want to introduce you to another candidate. So we have a new candidate for our federal representative. So Brian was the state senate. This is a federal representative. All right, here we go. John.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to first thank you guys for taking the time out of your meetings to come out and obviously, hear Brian speak. Brian's a great individual. I've gotten a chance to meet him before, and also come to hear a little bit about myself. As Drew mentioned, I'm running for Congressional District 16. If you don't know exactly where that is, it's going to be from US Highway 60 all the way down to Bradenton, Florida. So it's a pretty large swath, and this is actually my first meeting that I got to attend here in Hillsborough County. I am a Hillsborough County resident. I actually work on base, so my civilian job. I'm in cybersecurity by trade, so I'm not rich either. But I work as a contractor for United States Special Operations Command, and then I'm also a Army veteran as well. This year makes 20 years of service in the military, so I'm a reservist now. I had about 11 years of active duty service, and then the rest is reserve time. Like most of you, and this kind of goes into the why, right? Like most of you, I was a little bit disappointed with the last election, and wanted to actually see my vote, make a difference, make a change, be that change, that we've all been hoping for, right? And I got a little bit disheartened. So I reached out to a couple of people here locally who were into politics and didn't really kind of get like the push that I was looking for. However, that only inspired me to kind of, do it myself and, kind of see, hey, look, this is something that I can actually do. Being in government for the last 20 years, I kind of understand some of how that works, especially from a military perspective. And then also, coming from a service background. My dad was in the Navy for over 20 years, and my mom was a nurse. My wife was also a nurse, so either we're taking care of people or we're serving people in this country. As was kind of mentioned earlier, this administration has kind of gotten rid of the accountability aspect of what we're looking for. DHS goes around and shoots innocent people, and then so, which is horrific. And then somehow justifies it under the guise of, well, they were doing their job. That's not the right answer, right? I mean, we could all sit here and agree that, you know, even if you don't listen to what law enforcement says, you know, to do, that's still not a death sentence. But nobody at the federal level is going to hold these, you know, these individuals accountable. And I think that's what's missing at this point is a Congress who is going to hold this administration and the people who are working for this, you know, the federal government accountable. If I were to do something like that in any of my 4 deployments overseas, I guarantee you I would be facing an investigation. But because this is a political, you know, kind of stunt at this point, nobody is going to face recourse. That woman's family, her children are not going to face justice. So, again, some of the reasons why I'm running is because you know, as you can see, I have a beautiful family. I have 2 beautiful daughters. I want them to be able to have the same opportunities that I have. I want them to be able to, you know, not worry about walking down the street and getting stopped by ICE because, you know, they speak Spanish. I want them to be able to, you know, have representation that actually works for them. You know, it's a running joke for, you know, people of my age that Social Security is not going to be there when I retire. That's sad. We all pay into it. We should be able to enjoy that, you know, when we retire. So, going to Congress, it's about accountability. It's about giving those opportunities. And it's about making sure that we're focusing on the right issues. Again, Social Security, the national debt, but also local issues, right? Bringing federal money, federal dollars back here, improving roads, making sure that drilling stays off of our coast so we can have our pristine beaches. I think that that's what it's about, and that's why I decided to run. It's going to take more than just me. As we sit here, and as you mentioned, what he was talking about earlier, you know, it didn't just happen overnight. 400 years is how long it took them to get out of slavery, but that was baby steps. Every day, every year, baby steps, right? To get to the ultimate goal. And I think that electing Democrats who are like-minded, who are actually focused on the issues, hold people accountable, I think that's our way forward. So, if you would like to support the campaign, please do visit johnharrisforcongress.com. That's John Harris, 4FOR, Congress.com. You can, you know, volunteer. You can subscribe to our newsletter, which we'll be pushing out shortly. And you can also donate. For those of you who live in the district, and actually I think they changed the rule recently with the redistricting effort, but I did bring petitions tonight. For those of you who don't know, the petitions are actually a ballot access measure. It helps me get on the ballot, right? So I either have to pay $10,000, or I have to get, it was 5,000 petitions. I think we're now down to 2,600 petitions for this year because they're trying to redistrict in Tallahassee. But those petitions basically save me $10,000 and help me focus on just being a candidate, focus on listening to your issues and finding out what's important to you. So when you send me to Washington this November, I can do just that. I want to thank you again for your time. It's been a pleasure to come up here and speak to you. Thank you.
All right, and who has the petitions for John? Where do I see them? Where do I find those? Right there. All right. So, what he's talking about is in order to try and keep regular people, like veterans, like electricians, off the ballot, they set up rules that you have to contribute a certain amount. You have to pay a certain amount to get on the ballot. That number is usually $10,000, which makes accessing even the chance to run for political office inaccessible to most people, right? You have to spare $10,000 laying around? I know I don't. And so these ballots are a way to get that on. Now, get him on the ballot is his form. Now, here's the thing. Normally, you have to live in his district to sign those ballots. Because they are trying to redistrict, all of those rules are off. So if you are in this room and you are a registered voter, you can sign one of those forms. Where are the forms at? Hold them up. Let's pass them out. I'd like to see everybody, the more people we can get on the ballot, the better, so that we can make sure that we have lots of people presenting their ideas out there. Let's make sure that, let's separate the stack out, set it out on the tables. Anybody who wants to sign, let's make sure we get signatures. I got pins in my backpack. Take a break real quick so everybody can do that.